Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Today's episode is an exciting one, or maybe a not so exciting one. I don't know. I have mixed feelings.
We're both excited and nervous at the same exact time.
I mean, if I could send off a request to the universe or to God or whatever you believe in, I'd say, just give me 1 year sabbatical and then we'll pick up where we left off. Just 1 year.
Give us a break.
Yeah.
Give us a darn break.
Just give me, cut the timeline for a year. For you, it's a second where you are. Just cut it off. Yeah. Give me 1 year break and then we'll pick up where we left off.
Yeah, so this episode today is the one we've been talking about for a while, and it's the one we do every single year. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the energy and predictions for 2022 according to the Akashic Record. So each of us have our Akashic Record open, and we're basically, I have a list here. So we've asked feedback from you guys via our Patreon, via our Instagram, via Facebook. And you guys have sent some really good questions. So we're going to incorporate some of those into here and some of the ones that we thought were important to also include. But the four main topics that we're going to go into today are the pandemic, of course, the collective, so the human collective in itself, the climate, which I think is going to be a huge thing coming forward, and then spirituality, so awakening, spiritual energy for 2022, and what we need to look after, or look at, or what we need to focus on. So we'll go into each of those. We'll start with one topic, and then we'll go into the next. So you'll be able to listen to in parts if you want to. And as we mentioned in previous episodes, and I'll mention it again now, we are going to be doing deeper channeling within our Patreon group. So we're going to do a live call that we're actually going to share with everybody, even if you can't make it. So if you're a Patreon member, you'll have access to be on the call on Zoom while we channel even deeper all of these topics and other topics as well. So that'll be about an hour and a half, and we'll be channeling for everybody live. So some of the stuff that we go into here, we'll go deeper into there. So this is just the beginning, and then we'll finish it off on the Patreon. So if you guys like this episode and you feel called to receive deeper information, more intricate information, and about more topics about 2022, come join us on Patreon. We'll include that in the show notes. So yeah, just wanted to kind of clarify that because this is only one part of the channeling for 2022. So let's start with the pandemic. So we have been going through a lot. We have all been through a lot in the last almost, it'll be 2 years in March, I think, or January. Originally, we had channeled so much about this even before it kind of even became a thing. And we're all going through so many ups and downs with this. So I want to hear what your Akashic Records have to say about pandemic for 2022. Then I'll go, and then we'll go into some of the questions that we have under that.
So the pandemic, in general, do you want me to just hit the first question that we have written down?
Yeah. No, I mean, just give us general. If you want to go into the questions, that's okay too, whatever you feel.
The pandemic for me currently is not over. I think that a lot of people thought, well, I'll comply for a while more and I'll just follow some of the rules and then we'll be done with this. No, not for me, the way I'm seeing it, the way I'm feeling it. I feel like, especially if you're in the countries that are in the north, for me, it feels like north. I mean, it could be all the States, Canada, Europe. I feel like it's going to get really complicated for us this winter. So I think that we're going to get into heavier lockdown. And I've been waiting for this heavier lockdown. I've been talking about it for a while. I'll be like, where is it? I've been wondering. To me, it should have energetically, it would have started in October. I was so convinced. So for me, it's actually taken a bit longer for that lockdown to begin. Here in Holland, we've already started new measurements, and I've already heard discussions of lockdowns and stuff, or, we're back to masks again when we had been off for, I don't know, it was 2 months or something.
Here too.
Yeah. So we're starting to get what I felt, but I also feel like we're going to see a lot of souls leaving. I remember we talked about that, like, remember that there's souls that are not going to be able to accompany Earth in the new changes of the eras and the years that are coming. That doesn't mean that everything's going to be peachy keen, right? It just means that those souls aren't on board or not prepared for what's, what Earth has, I guess, programmed and what the collective has programmed. So we're going to see quite a few souls decide to leave. And I think that we need to, and I'm already hitting some points that goes to the end spiritually, right?
That's okay. Yeah.
But what I'm getting from the masters is we need to double down on our spiritual preparedness for the emotional impact that it might give us. Some might be able to handle it better than others, but I feel like it's going to be challenging for everyone at some point, especially those in the north of the winter. I feel like things are going to get, I feel disconnected. I feel it's scattered energy, like things kind of out of control maybe. Yeah, it feels like people don't feel like they're in control. It feels like I'm disconnected. I don't know if I'm disconnected from my family or my loved ones or the world, but I feel like disconnected. Like that's the feeling I have. And I feel like, come on, what else? That feeling,
Yeah, like that frustration, that energy of like, again, kind of just like, it's happening again. Like I do feel what you're feeling also. Yeah. So the pandemic won't be over. And I think this pandemic will, like the way I'm kind of seeing it, or they're showing it to me, it's like one pandemic goes into the next.
Yeah. So when you said that before we started recording the episode, you said, we're going to ask questions like when the pandemic, you were saying that to me, when the pandemic is going to end. I said, which one?
They're all going to go like one into the other, and they're just going to keep dragging this on. Like this is going to keep dragging on.
So I think there's like aspects COVID is going to fade out somehow.
I feel the same way.
It's going to turn into something else, or I don't know what it is. Yeah. But I feel like a fading around February.
A transition. That's what I feel.
Yeah, it can be the word transition. I don't know if you're getting around February, but I feel like it's after January. That's why I'm saying February. It's like, I feel like January, we're still feeling a little heaviness of COVID. I feel like February maybe starts fading a little bit.
Possibly. I'm not getting timelines with that for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think I have a lot of resistance with channeling about the pandemic for some reason, because I think I don't want to believe anything I hear. So that's just me personally as a channel, because this is obviously affecting me. It's affecting you. It's affecting everybody. It will continue. So I think all of us need to kind of grapple with that and understand that and be okay with that in some way or another and prepare. So I agree with what Lucia's saying with the northern countries, although I would definitely include Australia within that. I think Australia is going to have a lot of ups and downs still. There's a lot of counter energies there. Like I feel like there's like left and right and up and down, and there's a lot of duality within Australia. And I don't know, this to me feels deeper than the pandemic itself, if that makes sense. It feels like it's some internal stuff that's also
that's why
kind of coming up through the pandemic.
Fully include Australia in that north part, because I feel like Australia has a totally added aspect to it, where it's like the bigger problem is the pandemic for them, or the souls leaving. For me, the bigger problem is everyone in the country needs to put the foot down and say, we're going to all stop complying. They cannot control us all. They cannot throw us all in jail. But the problem is there's a lot of people that are not seeing that what the government is actually doing in that area is trying to really overstep and take over. And there's a lot of disrespect for human rights.
There's happening in a lot of places, though. Mm-hmm. And that being said, like Lucia, you mentioned the northern country. So I think that definitely, at least what I'm seeing for the next 6 months, coincides with maybe the winter. That might be what we're seeing. Because they're not giving me a reason for why that might get more difficult in the north. The south, which would be more like South America and Africa. To me, Africa is also added. Like if they're showing me like the map, Africa is kind of like taken out of this equation also. It feels very
channeling
strange
that last
energetically.
year, and I was like, I don't know why, but Africa, you would think you would think it's the other way around, but it's because the numbers I think have been inflated in places because of the protocols that they follow for testing and who knows what else.
Yeah, definitely. I think Africa and Australia, to me, their energies feel very different. If I look at even if I look at Asia or just Europe and North America and Canada, those to me feel like the most problematic areas. And then South America, I'm not going to say that there's going to be no problems because it definitely feels like there's something there, but it feels more like
restrictions.
It feels more even keeled. Like the energy there feels like, and I don't know if it's because of the way people are living, but it definitely feels like there will be ups and downs, but not in the way that we're feeling it in the north.
No.
For whatever reason. Maybe it is the fact that it'll be summer. I don't know. And this is more, I'm getting more information for the next 6 to 8 months. I'm not seeing 12 months because I think there's going to be something 8 months down the line where something's going to shift. Maybe that's where the transition is for me. I don't know. But definitely feeling like people might even go more towards some of these South American countries.
Well, yeah, I've been talking about that, at least to a lot of our Patreon people. Like, I was saying that if you were looking to go to the South, get your, let's say that you have to get a visa or you have to get, living status, residency and stuff. You want to start getting that in 2022 because by 2023, it feels like there's going to be a much more elevated interest and flocking, if you will, to other countries like in the South. It's something that I've already been seeing for a while because I've been saying the quality of life in Europe was going to deter. It was going to start kind of the grade's going to start coming down. Because I felt like it was because of I never really knew what it was. I could never put my finger on it. But I knew the word that I always got from the Akashic Records was quality of life.
Yep. Totally. And I think that'll continue. That doesn't stop. And it's going to be a lot of pushing things and people feeling like they can't live their life and that there's lots of rules. Like this is what I'm also seeing for the North. A lot of restrictions. Like more and more restrictions and more people fighting them or going against them. Maybe this is all like the protests and the riots. And I want to say, especially in North America, I'm seeing a lot of that energy within the United States of people like opposing energies and a lot of kind of conflict and a lot of just really like up and down energies. Like it doesn't feel great. And maybe not all of you will experience it that way because it definitely feels like if I take it as a collective, like North America, it feels that way. Like people are going through that a lot or feeling that maybe, and that maybe you'll receive that energy because we definitely connect with the energy of the collective, the human collective and our collective that we live in, and then our town and then our city and then our house, right? It all kind of just comes down. So I definitely feel like some of you, depending where you live in North America, will start to feel things will come up in the news. I think there's going to be a lot of push and pull energy there, as well as in Europe.
Yeah.
So I guess before, just want to say this, like, is there an ideal place to live right now? I don't think so.
No, I don't see like there might be one country,
yeah.
But if I had to put a standard, it's They talked about this. They were going to talk about this, in 2020 or 2019? They said learn to, start your own, food thingy, learn to grow food, and things like that. It was probably 2020 with the...
Self-sustainable.
Yeah, so we need to start finding our communities. We need to start finding the places that we vibe. So, like Lorena said, there's not a perfect place in the world at this point, and there's not going to be a perfect place in the world next year either. But there's a place that energetically is going to suit you better. And if I had to say one thing, it's get out of cities. And if you haven't, begin to feel the pull and the interest to do that, because city living is a thing. It should begin to be a thing of the past. Gaia wants us to reconnect with her. Gaia wants us to go back to her. And the only way that we can re-empower ourselves is connecting to our original mother. I mean, I did this whole episode about this with Gaia, the channeling I did that's on Patreon that I uploaded yesterday. But so those that are on Patreon have kind of already heard this. But for me, we have to reconnect with Gaia. We need to reconnect with our mom, because if someone's going to defend us in our human rights, it's her energy is going to help us do that. Yeah. It's like a child that needs to be protected. What's the first thing the child does? Mama, mama, right? It screams mama, mama, right? So we need to go back to mom. We need to respect mom. We need to go back to mom. We need to connect with mom and live with mom.
Yeah, it's like this vision of like us opening our arms to our mother and embracing her for everything and being able to really integrate with her, because it feels like we're fighting her in many ways. And that's not a good way to live. That's not what we're all here to live. That's not how we're supposed to live here. Doesn't mean that we have to like live in dirt and like in the middle of nowhere, all of us, but living more connected with earth through our actions, through the way we live, through the way we interact with other people. It's bringing more of her energy in. And I think part of that is also the reality of grounding. You know, all of this stuff that's happening around us, everything's in the air. Nothing feels certain. Everything's insecure. We don't know what's happening next. We're all kind of on edge at moments, right? Maybe not all of us feel that way because we're living a different reality and connecting to something else, but the majority of us feel that way.
And let's say that go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. And I think we all need to realize that by grounding, the realization here is that by grounding that we're able to reconnect with her, with ourselves, and then bring ourselves to this new reality. And, you know, like you said, spirituality can't be subtracted from this. It is part of it. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but the collective needs that. We need that. And for us to continue to be here and living and learning, that needs to be a part of it. We can't continue to live this crazy life that we're living.
If the government locks everybody down tomorrow, if you're in a city, you're really actually locked down. If the government tomorrow that where you're living locks you down, but you live on a farm, doesn't matter.
Yeah, you have space to roam.
You're probably busy with whatever you're doing in your farm anyways, or, you know.
Yeah, and being self-sustainable in many ways. It doesn't mean you have to be self-sustainable in every way. It means that you do need to take care of yourself in certain ways that you might not be doing it now. Being creative with how you're doing that and being able to just have fun with it too, because us connecting with Gaia, she's giving back to us, but we need to give to her too. We need to help her, right?
And that's going to be your sanity, because we're going to be fighting a lot of mental health issues in 2022. We're going to see a lot of people, I want to call it maybe like mental instability, or it's like, the way I see it is I feel like the fading of somehow, like, okay, we haven't hit like a point where I feel like it gets severe where things get like like lockdowns again and things like that. Like, I feel like there's a severeness peaking upon us. Once that severeness we go over that hurdle, I feel like there's a little bit, we're going down that hill. We've gone over that massive lump of the worst part. We're starting to go down, and I feel somewhat of a fading. We're tired. I feel like I'm dragging my feet when I get to the bottom of the hill, and we're tired. And when we think, you know what, it's like we've been through it all already. Like, I'm so done. It's almost like I see, like, it looks like a thief in the night, like the cartoons where it looks somebody coming in, tiptoeing in the dark and leaving a little package and be like, goodbye. And it's like, that's the next thing that's going to come,
the unexpected,
limit us and give us more issues. And that's when a lot of people are mentally like you either hold up or you hold up.
Yeah. And I think if any of you are into astrology, you know that Pluto is still around, right? Pluto is transformation. Pluto is destruction. It's rebirth. This is why this is all happening. There's obviously a huge, massive awakening needing to happen within every one of us, within the collective. But there's also, through this, really big changes that we need to make within ourselves and outwardly, within how we're living. So the way we've lived is, like we said, we've said it in previous episodes, how you were living, we're not going back to that. There needs to be a new reality, a new way of living, a new way of seeing, a new perspective, new way of interacting, new way of everything.
Yeah.
It's all transformation, evolution, change. And I think the more we can all get on board with that, the better.
You're saying, like, you're talking about like the transformation aspect coming to it and like the awakening. We don't live in our souls didn't sign up to come to a place where it's all la perfect and this awakening is happening and whatever. Like, we have a group of individuals who want to control. And when they see, because guess who also knows astrology? Those dudes over there.
Of course.
So those individuals also know that energy of awakening coming in. And so how do you keep the masses asleep and controlled? You keep them down. You keep them upset. You keep them in fear. You keep them in depression. You keep them dependent on you. Frustration, all those negative things. And so that thief in the night that I'm seeing, it's them playing their little tricks. Most of the severe parts of what we're going through, they had to do with that. If you ask me.
Yeah, and I think actually we're recording this on the 8th of November, and like last night I'm sure most of you heard about the Travis Scott concert.
I need to tell you about that.
And all of the darkness about that. I don't want to get into that because it's a prediction.
No, but I need to tell you something that happened to me before that.
Okay, but yeah, oh no, did you? Okay,
I dreamt about
I'm not
it.
even gonna ask yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk about that then. But that just perfectly depicts this energy that we're seeing, and there's a lot of occult things going on. There's a lot of low vibrational energy, and if there's a moment for us to protect ourselves, it's now. Believe me, guys, like I was never that person. Lucy's always been that person. Oh my gosh, you have to protect yourself. I was like, I'm fine. I'm all right.
I always got so mad at you. I'm like, Lorena.
And now I'm seeing that more and more. And I don't think this is a coincidence. This was literally broadcast all over the world probably. And people saw the signs and the symbolism and everything. I'm not going to go into what I think about it really. But I really do think that, yeah, if that's just waking us up to what's a lot of underlying stuff that's also involved within all the energy going on now and in 2022. So we need to really protect ourselves. That was one of the questions we got. Like, what do we need to do? Lots of stuff, whatever you can. Protect yourself energetically with different hermetic protections. Look stuff up, sage your house, cleanse stuff, ground your energy, make sure you're always like taking care of yourself, your immune system. All of that is going to play a part in it.
What day did that thing happen? Was it a Friday or Saturday?
I don't remember. Let me look that up. You tell the story while
I had my dream on Friday night, I believe. And that concert either happened Friday night or Saturday night. So my dream, I had gone to sleep and it was normal. Like it was a normal night. I haven't had premonition dreams in a long time. I've been having more dreams where I go to my own parallel lives. I mean, that's the most I can like remember if I think back. And I remember it felt like I wasn't me in the sense that like I went somewhere else and I was observing and being part of an incident, but I didn't feel fully Lucia. Like I didn't feel like I was me. Maybe I connected with another individual and the experience. Time doesn't really exist. So it's like maybe I kind of connected with someone that was going to live the experience or something. It's not like I had the replica of the place, but what matters to me is what I saw and what happened. So I was at like a club. It seemed like a club, and there was like music live. I didn't know who I was seeing. I didn't know I didn't know anything. It's like somebody took me there, and I was just like, "Why are we here? I hate clubs, man." Like I was not happy about it, but I wasn't fully myself. Like I wasn't fully Lucia either, and so I was with someone. And they said, let's go to the bar and get a drink. And so I went, and then we went to ask for a drink. And when I started asking for a drink, people started smashing and pushing me up against the counter. And it was a lot of people pushing, trying to get out of the way. And there was a lot of like so much chaos. And the Lucia, antisocial Lucia was like, no, get me out of here. This is like the worst thing ever. And the person sitting next to me was like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then the bartender goes, things are about to get real. Get yourself out of here now. I was like, but what's happening? Wow. And he's like, you don't need to know what's happening. Just get yourself out. Check yourself out of this place now. That's kind of how he said it, the bartender to me. And somehow it's almost like my mind snapped me into outside of the crowd. And then all of a sudden I created, like my mind created a space where I was able to kind of check out of that area. And I waited it out. And I remember all of a sudden my guide showed up. Like the person that was with me was gone. And all of a sudden it's like an energy guide was with me. And I was like, what's going on? And they said, yeah, there's a lot going on. And we can't really do anything about all those individuals all those souls that we're going to lose. We can't really do anything about it right now. I'm like, why am I here? I don't understand why I'm here. Why did you bring me here? Why am I here? And the guide says, go buy yourself. Remember that flute you used to play when you were in school? And I said, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And I'd given that flute to a friend of mine in Uruguay. I gave it to her. And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, go buy yourself a flute. Go get yourself a flute. I have an apartment for you over here. So it was like on the outskirts of what was going on. Go in that apartment, sit down, and just play the melodies and relearn them. That's what I was supposed to do.
What?
I don't know. And then when I went to get a flute, I said to him, okay, I'll get a flute when I get one. And then he just pretend like it's close your eyes and order it. Like almost like you're ordering online, right? And then I was like, oh, there's a copper flute. They make copper flutes? I was saying to him. And he's like, copper's a really good energy conductor. Get that one. And I was like, okay, copper flute. All right. Awesome. And I like all of a sudden showed up in my hand. And he's like, just start playing. Change the tone. And I was like, okay. And so I just started playing the different tones. And I was like remembering this. I remembered exactly where my fingers had to go. It was funny. And it's like I checked out with that. And then I fell asleep. And when I woke up, it was over. And they had opened the doors because we had been closed in. They weren't letting anybody out in the scenario that I was living. And when I came out of that little apartment that I played the flute, I came out and I saw bodies on the floor. I saw so much like a mess. It was dirty. It was disgusting. It was like, a concert happened and there was rubbish everywhere kind of thing. It was like mud or dirt or whatever. And I walked out and said, this is awful. I never want to come here ever again. And that was it. That was my dream. I thought it was a stupid dream. And then I woke up the next day and I think the next day at night, at some point, I don't remember exactly. It was like one day later, like 24 hours later or something like that. I found out about this.
The concert.
And I didn't think about it right away. And then I went, oh my goodness, my dream.
Yeah, we're not going to get too much into that because obviously it's about more predictions, but it does tie into some of the stuff we're talking about, protection and all these underlying energies that are happening. It's not just about a pandemic.
I think out of the whole scenario to tell you, the two things that catch my mind is I was not able to get out. Nobody was able to get out. Or the doors were locked. So we were being trapped. So the message to me as a person that reads between lines as an energy channeler, and with my records open, I can tell you what that means is that those individuals that were in that scenario, going through the traumatic scenario, at the time were trapped by some energy, something.
Yep.
That's the first thing. And the second thing is my ear lights up when I think and remember and hear that the guide said, we can't do anything about those souls. We've lost them. Mm-hmm. So that was probably the deaths of the individuals in that scenario.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. There's a lot to unpack about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack about that. But yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of this interesting, I don't want to call it, just really low vibrational energy.
Remind everybody, what did the Akashic Records say? That the years that were coming, and the year that was coming, last time we did a prediction, I think it was the last one we did, they said that to remember that we're not living in a worst world. Mm-hmm. That what's happening is light's coming more down into earth, and what happens when light hits dark? Dark is revealed. So
being revealed.
These things were already happening, let's say 10 years ago, but we couldn't see them because the dark was able to keep itself dark. So we're going to be confronted more and more with these occult, satanic, negative energies. We're going to see them more because light is hitting dark more. Remember, they said, don't make yourself think that you're living in a worse world. Know that it's light revealing the dark.
Yep, I agree completely with that. 100%. Yeah, I remember that coming through at some point. I don't remember when, but yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So know that, know that it's just things are and have been and will continue to get crazy. We're going to see more things pop up, more truths. I know that was something that came up last year, the truths. I think that's going to continue. I don't think that's ending. I think that's going to be a theme for 2022 as well, at least what I'm kind of perceiving, like more things popping up. Like that vision that you had in the dream of, not the dream, before the dream, we were talking about like this kind of burglar coming in, tiptoeing and just dropping little presents, either not presents, but they're new realities or ways of seeing things or just things that we weren't seeing. They're there now. They're in front of us. We have to deal with them. We can't deny them. We need to really deal with them fully.
Yeah. I wouldn't label 2022 the year of truth because that was for this year, for people to concentrate on the truth. Hopefully the majority of the people that are listening to us have, and that spotted it because, hey, what's that saying in Spanish? There's no worse person. There's no blinder person than the one that doesn't want to see. What's that saying in Spanish?
I don't know.
No peor ciego que el que no quiere ver.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there was a lot of truth out there. Now, if you saw it or not, depends on you if you're open to see it. Yeah. But I can tell you that I was on it and I saw it all.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be the year of truths, but I do feel like things will still pop up. You know, we're used to it at this point.
It's the year of action. We've had a whole year to sit down and see. And now the year that's coming in is the year to we either whatever action it is for you. Some people, it's going to be put your foot down. Some people's going to be like, I'm moving over here. Like if you're looking to move, if you're looking to change job, if you're looking, 2022 is the year to do that.
No.
It's the year of action. Yeah. And if you don't move it in 2022, it's almost like that door might close for you. It depends on the person and the karma and your missions and all these stuff. But generally speaking, 2022 is the year for you to get those things done before that door closes. Because 2023, I feel like you need to already be placed in that situation that you're looking to be placed into.
I feel that too. Yeah, definitely. And it's not like it's going to be easier to do it. For some people, it might be easier, for others, harder. But we're going to feel the energy that pull to change things, to do things, and to move, or to change our job, or to quit our job, or that's going to be the feeling. Yeah. And you need to really connect with yourself, follow your intuition, and know what's right for you, whatever direction that is for you.
And the action for me means that those that did see the truth in 2001. We might have a lot of like legal movements, like people confronting the system or people standing up to the system, or I don't know, it could be protests, but that can also be, I see court. There could be a lot of court stuff. There could be a lot of legal stuff. So those things are good. If those things happen, it is good.
Yeah. Yeah. And all those systems are being tested too, right? Like what direction, like what are people fighting for? You know, that's the action part that I see. I'm fighting for this. I'm fighting for that. This is my belief system. So I'm going to honor that. And I'm going to take this action or like you said, put my foot down with certain things. Like that will be definitely a theme for sure. Yeah. But within all that, more things are going to pop up to make us take action.
Yeah.
Because we have to keep seeing more realities, right?
Yeah. So for me, I feel like, because it all depends on everybody's free will and how everybody's going to, 2021 was, if you wanted to see the truth, some people might have not seen it. Some people, 2022 is about action. And a lot of that, for me, hopefully it is fighting back the system and illegal stuff. But what happens if the free will of the majority of humanity in 2022, what happens if the majority of humanity or the collective do stand up to the system or do see it and go, no, I'm not going to be taken for a stupid person anymore, or I'm not going to be pushed around anymore. That I see the cards flipping. It's like we're playing card games, and I see that the opponent. I said, no, you know what? You're cheating. I see you cheating. I'm not gonna let you cheat anymore. I'm standing up to you. And then the opponent flips their card and says, fine, I have another card up my sleeve. And I feel like, boom, climate change.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to get that into, let's get into the collective first, because I think we already kind of went into it, and we'll just wrap that up and go right into the climate stuff. That's, to me, is very prominent for 2022. So with the collective, and we're talking about the human collective, the collective here, different groups, our soul tribe, whatever that is, kind of how do we need to, like, how does a collective need to navigate, or what's coming for the collective for 2022? Like, what do we need to think about?
I mean, the masters are literally telling me that our liberties have been taken away years ago, not just now. Mm-hmm. And we survive in a system that actually survives more. It's like, it looks like, the leech? You know that leech?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's sucking out, it's not killing you, but it's sucking your blood out. And it's going to be alive and well as long as you're alive and you're alive and well as well.
Like a parasite.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like that. So it's like we're living in a system that leech is living off of me, but that leech is telling me what to do in a way, right? I can't take the leech off. It's not letting me. And so that for me is the system. And so what the masters are trying to make me understand is that we've learned to comply to a system that actually isn't something that is for our greater good in general. It's been something that limited us spiritually. And so there's a lot of Atlantean energy on Earth, a lot of people who have incarnated in Atlantean times and had to retrieve because of the downfall of that era. And I have the majority of those souls. I say a lot, but I'm going to say the majority of those souls are reincarnated here in this timeline and the now. And what they're here to do this time is not allow the system to collapse on top of them like it did last time. So a lot of that wasn't, I don't want to say the word ignorance, because they felt like very aligned beings with energies and they knew things. But I feel like they trusted the system, or they let the system do their thing so much that at some point it collapsed back onto them. And so
they were too trustworthy.
Yes, that. And so I feel like we're going through that Atlantean cycle in a way. And that's why climate change also is a really good button to push with us, because we're all in fear of a global catastrophe, because we've lived through that as Atlanteans, the majority of the people that are incarnated as Atlanteans. But it's like we need this time to stand up to the system, but also say, no, you're not going to leech off of me anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to do that. Like, I'm just telling people how to do it. Like, I don't know how we would be able to do that. I'm just saying what I get.
No, I don't see that either. It's interesting though that you see it that way. Yeah. So, like, I guess that's great what you're saying. I for the collective in 2022, I see kind of like what you said before, coming together in groups, supporting each other, like new groups of people coming together, people networking to be able to find each other. I think, the internet's a great way to do that. And I think we're not all going to be in the same place, but energetically we can, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're on a podcast, but we're connected to a bunch of people, a group of people, all the listeners, yet we're not all in the same place. So for different people, I think that'll come through in different ways. Some of you might move into communities. Some of you might just connect with certain people to help you get by, to share information, to share experiences, and to be able to connect and feel not so alone. Because I think kind of the collective, the energy I'm feeling with the collective is that separation, right? There's a lot of separation that's been happening, I want to say for the last year, maybe a little bit less than a year, that it's like we're all being asked to come back together, but that's not possible right now. There's so much going on that like you said, not everybody's seeing the full picture, that wide perspective where they can see every angle, and
things are put into boxes to
separation.
Separate us.
Yeah.
It's funny because
and that's going to continue.
Yes, definitely. They're going to separate us. They want us separated because if we come together, we're too powerful. The system can only control us if we're against each other in some sort of a way, right?
Yeah.
So we need to learn to bring those boxes down, break the barriers of the boxes, and not let not let us be in those boxes, and we shouldn't let ourselves see other people in those boxes. So it all starts with you doing it and then you being an example. But it's really difficult because I was watching a program today about mind control. and how literally the politicians know how to do it. Media knows how to mind control and how to get you to accept a term or a new word or a new phrase that converts into something it's going to lead you down an alley that's convenient for them. They're doing whatever they need to do for them. So it's like, I mean, the biggest one that we can talk about without talking about the specifics is trying to get people that are not vaxxed to hate people that are vaxxed, or people that are vaxxed to hate non-vaxxed, and let's put each person in a box. And let's get them to hash it out and hate each other, and then awesome, they're too busy fighting each other. They can't even see that we're up here doing it all. Ha ha ha. Kind of like,
Yeah, true. Very true, yeah. Yeah, and it's getting people so emotional, right? Like people are so emotional, so uptight, so fearful that they can't think straight. They can't discern what's going on. They can't take a step back and see the full perspective. They're laser focused on that fear and what's going on and not being able to just kind of deal with what they need to deal with. What you're saying is, I don't see that separation. We need to be smarter than that. We need to look past that and realize, oh, wait, this is just separation. It doesn't matter what anybody's doing. It matters what I'm doing, and it matters my intention behind it, right? Intention's everything, like we always say, right?
Yeah. And also, like, when I see the communities, I don't see the communities in the level of, it's like if we follow through with the mind control that they've been pushing, my community where I grow food and have my own town, can only be people that are on my health level. No, that's not the way it is. It's actually, you're going to look for communities. You're going to vibrate. Whatever comes out of you vibrates out and brings back to you individuals that are vibrating the same tone as you. So that means if you're able to drop the box, awesome, you're going to find a community that also was able to drop the box. So you might as well drop the box so you can get better people inside of your box with you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but also you have to think that if you're not in this aligned energy, then you might not attract those correct people to you because you're this low vibrational, you're not learning the lessons, you haven't gone inward. All that stuff we talked about a year, 2 years ago, all that applies now because now we're in this more aligned energy. We're more truthful to ourselves, we're more listening to ourselves, we're connected with our intuition, we're grounded. So then we can make those decisions from a place of like a knowing, like I know this is where I need to be. I know this is the change I need to create, and I'm going to go ahead with it.
Yeah.
From this place of complete just knowing and trust.
Yeah. It's important for people to take down the barriers, take down the labels, and be like, you know what? I want to find my place where I can express myself better, be more aligned and connected to Gaia, and then, yeah.
Yeah. So just one more thing before we get into the climate, it's what do we need to what does a human collective need to focus on in 2022? I think that was kind of answered, not the separation, the communities, the change. And then we talked a little about protection and physically and energetically when we were talking about the concert and stuff. I think that applies to the collective as well and ourselves individually, being able to just, be so grounded in ourselves, but also knowing that there's a lot of stuff going on outside of us, a lot of things that don't necessarily seem like they're bad or they're low vibrational. I don't like saying good or bad necessarily, but that are low vibrational that could bring us down. So we need to constantly be protecting our energy, our vital force energy that feels like it could be sucked just from like watching the news or hanging out with certain people or doing certain things. So being very mindful of the activities you participate in, how you're doing things.
Or learn how to get yourself out of it. Like after I'd had that dream and then I found out about the news, I was like, I looked into it and then I know it was kind of time to go to sleep. So you can imagine when it's time to go to sleep and I had dreamt that, felt a drastic scenario, and then saw something that I was like, wow, I think it might have been that. I'm like, oh no. And I started feeling really bad. And people shared actual videos. And you see, and you're just thinking about the person's going through it and how, all that. That was, I'm not going to get into details, but like, you feel bad. Yeah. And I felt.
Yeah, that's protect.
So I was like,
yourself.
What can I do? I felt really bad. So like, I was like, okay, stop. I already know what happened. I already know my suspicions. I already know there's something behind it. I stopped like looking into it because me, I want to know the truth. I want to get into like,
of course.
I can't, it's really hard for me to not figure it out. So once I thought that I figured it out, I was like, okay, I figured it out, I'm done. And I said, I got to meditate. I can't go to sleep. Like, no. So I had meditated for like 40 minutes. I put on some really nice music. I was like, flute. Sounds like something I need to listen to. I remember the flute, right? So I put on some like flute meditation stuff that I found on YouTube, and I put my headphones in and I breathed. And you know what I did? I literally, first I called down my guide, and then I sent love to all those, everybody that had been there. I tried to send out like love coming from my heart chakra, and then to like the individual souls that parted, wherever they are. I feel like maybe they're not in such a great place. I send them love to see if they can escape from whatever scenario they might be in as souls. So I did that. And then I did my prayers for myself and for them, and then for my family. And you need to like find a balance.
That's beautiful.
Right? Like
that's a perfect depiction of what that means to be in this human collective right now. Moving forward, you're not alone. We're all connected. We're all going through this. We're not separated. It doesn't matter that we weren't there or somebody else wasn't there. We can still send people love. We can still connect them. We can still want the best for them. And
that was a spiritual war right there. So how do you fight spiritual war?
Light, 100%. Yeah.
So,
and I said this before, I don't know if on the podcast, but this is something Mom taught us, right? There's a lot of dark energies, but light, dark will never trump light. Like light is always above everything. So if you're living from light, if you're acting in light, if you're acting with love, love is light. That goes above and beyond any dark energy. You obviously still have to protect yourself and be careful, but acting in that way will help you.
Yeah.
Living in
and
that
also
way.
Remember that we're in a transition that like you were saying, the awakening. So what's dark going to do? You think dark's going to be like, oh, it's not my time anymore. Goodbye. Let me grab my backpack and just walk myself out. Dark's going to claw, foot, dark's going to fight it. And this is the time where you're like, boom, I'm putting my wall of protection up for me and my entire family, even my animals. Like I do the cat, I do the dog. I'm like, no, you're not messing with me. Right? Like we have to we have to up our warrior energy game, especially for 2022, so that we can get to the best place, so we can flow to, I'm supposed to live over there, in the land over there, because maybe for you and I, our energy is going to be best centered in Uruguay. Maybe for someone else it's going to be Florida. Maybe for someone else it's going to be Mexico. Maybe for someone else it's going to be, I don't know, Alaska. Like you need to really feel where you're being called to or where the scenario is best leading you and be like, that's where I'm going to get the energy and the connection I need so I can sustain myself the best possible in 2022. But also just try to make sure that place is not a big city.
Yeah, true. Just before we move on to climate, well, maybe we'll go into spirituality in a second and then we'll go into climate. But we were seeing this transition, right, from the pandemic is now to something else. Do you think that's going to be like another illness, or what do you think that's going to be?
I don't see it super clear. I'll check with you. I'll give you what I'm seeing, and then maybe you can fill in the blanks, or maybe you're getting it more clear. I see that downhill fading thing of COVID. I don't know if it's that they lose control of the scenario, they can no longer control us, or that they can no longer pull that, what's it called? Agenda?
Pull those strings?
Yeah.
Yeah, agenda.
So it feels like that starts to fade. And I feel like what comes in depends on if we are pushing back. Because let's say that it faded because we all woke up and we were like, no, and we start fighting back. The systematic control that comes behind it. We're all done with them telling us you have to get a vax every 2 months. Everyone's just done with it already. Like, come on, now you're messing with us all now. Let's say, right? That's the scenario, and we all wake up and we all fight back. I feel like if they didn't by then introduce another pandemic, by the time we all wake up, they're going to introduce the climate change.
Okay.
Like, I feel like they want to slip in the other pandemic.
Let's go into climate then.
What are you getting? I want to know what you're getting.
Yeah, I think there's a transition. I'm not seeing clearly. To me, it feels like it's something different than COVID maybe, or something that could be COVID related, but it's just different. It feels different. It doesn't feel like it's the same thing. There's something new. There's new information. There's new energy around it. And I feel like that's at some point in 2022. I don't think that's February because I know you said something about February. I don't feel like it's that soon. I'm seeing more
February. I feel the
months down the line.
fading away of the COVID. What's it called? Agenda. That's the word I was using. Agenda.
Okay. No, I see it going a little longer, but regardless, it'll be next year that we see that transition for sure. Like be it climate or another, something will come in that'll replace that fear, that'll replace that taking action, that doing things, the control, all that. Something's going to replace that. It could be an illness. It could be the climate. It could be something along those lines. So,
I mean, the best way to describe it is I feel like they have another pandemic set up to push, or they have the climate thing to push, or they have the terrorism or bioterrorism. It's like, I feel like they have a long list of things that they're kind of pre-ready for, right? However we react, for me, that's dependent on the one that's coming in. For now, I see the one that's more prominent because I'm reading off of the energy of today, November the 8th, right? To me, it feels like they're going to overstep with the current agenda of COVID. They're going to overstep to a point where we're going to start pushing, and it's going to be too many people pushing. Maybe we were able to get out of those boxes and come together. I don't know. But it's like we all are starting to push harder that they can't really push that other pandemic that they had planned, because they had planned another one. They have planned another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I think there's a lot of feeding off of the energy of people, but it's all based on fear.
Yes,
and I'm
fear.
not, with us saying this doesn't mean that what's happening isn't real. It is real. It's just there's a manipulation of information, a manipulation of fear, a manipulation of energies around it that make leakings. It experience of something that we don't necessarily have to be going through it this way.
Like for me, COVID is not real. I'm saying it is real, but I think there was inflation of scenarios, of course, but that was leaked. To me, that was a little thief in the night, left a little freaking gift and left. Yeah. That's what would that other pandemic would be. A little thief in the night, it came. What's it called? The gain of function thing. Maybe it comes from that, right? And boom, next little present for humanity, so you guys don't wake up. Remember why. This is what we need to remember. Why? Why are they doing these things? Why are these things pre-set up? Why is it so important to have one ready to roll as soon as this one no longer...
Control.
Yes, exactly. Control, and also to bring back, remember we talked about the dark not leaving with his backpack and fighting tooth and nail and whatever. He's not going they're working with that energy, that negative, lower vibrational energy, and they're not going to leave without really trying to fight back and not lose what they had.
Yeah. So with that climate, what do you see with climate? Like what narratives do you see? I guess we've kind of answered some of that where we see some of that with the fear.
I've been looking into the outage thing that people. So at this point where we're speaking now, the 8th of November, we have had Austria tell their citizens on a military page they have how to prepare for a outage. Switzerland seems to have done it as well. Today I saw that Germany did it, and I think Sweden as well had like a preparedness thing that was put somewhere. But I think that's a normal thing for Sweden. I think somebody said that. But the important thing is these 3 countries have talked about it. And then there's an article that came out in Holland about how it almost happened last year, something like that Sandra was telling me about. Why are they saying that? Because supposedly the prices of like gas is going up, right? All these massive inflation, and they're saying there's not enough to sustain the grid. I know that they're saying it in Europe. I'm not sure if they're saying it about the States or somewhere else, actually. I haven't checked that.
I haven't seen that come up, but it could have.
But if I scan Earth, Lorena, I don't see a lack of.
No, I don't.
They're telling me there's a lack of food shortages. There's a lack of gas. There's a lack of, all this other stuff that they might list. Maybe one day they'll add water to that. They probably will. I'm scanning and I don't see a lack of those things that they've come up with.
Not a physical lack.
No. So
there's just distribution. That's a problem.
Or they're hiding it. Yeah. Or it's another agenda where they're trying to make it look like something it's not. But whatever it is, it's going to lead into the perfect scenario for me, if they did the outages, it's not because there's lack of, because remember, I'm not, for me at least, and anybody can believe what they want, but what I'm seeing when I have my records open is I see abundance of, I don't see a lack of. So to me, they're pretending, what's the fear tactic for this? Shut down a grid. Little by little, I shut down grids here, shut down grids over there. I see like some pop open and the other ones pop close and pop, right? It's like, I don't feel like they do a massive thing all at the same time, but it starts to implement fear. Maybe one country's over there watching, oh no, this happened to people in Europe and it might happen to me over here. And oh my God, it happened to the States. It might happen to us over here in Europe. Like pop, right? I see it the most in the north because they're going to take, if they do it, they're going to take advantage of the cold. So it would happen first up here, because if you cut people off from the grid and the cold, that hurts more than the heat.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily connecting with that information. I'm connecting more with agendas, information, and stuff that's going to come out that's going to start to worry people just in general about climate. And to me, this all brings it to a specific kind of scenario where we're able to request or demand that people make certain changes or do things a specific way, or to hold back things like
That's
you're saying,
what I was
like
getting.
the energy grid. And
they're popping it open and closed to create the fear so that people think, oh, no, we have to comply because we need to fix this problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not to downgrade that there are climate issues. I want to say that. I know you channeled a bunch about Gaia on the Patreon, like you said. But I think there is issues with Gaia, and that's kind of back what we were saying a little while ago with us grounding, connecting with her more, respecting her more, being there for her, opening our arms and like loving her fully and being a supportive energy instead of a draining energy. And there's a lot of ways that we live that aren't supporting that, you know? There's a lot of overconsumption and the distribution of things that we all have power to change how things are being distributed and people being able to get things to them the way that they need to. There's just too many people, you know, high up that, you know, there's too many things at stake for them, for things to happen in a specific way, and they don't want things to be out of control for them. So I do feel like there's a lot of power struggle within the climate stuff, high up and for certain countries. And I think some people have really good intentions with changing that and others not so much.
I'm not saying, and I never said that we can't treat her better and connect better with her, because I think that's what I want to do. And that's what a lot of people want to do.
Of course.
But I would change the word climate change to Gaia change, because that's what I was talking about in the Patreon. Like when I connected to Gaia and her energy and her Akashic Records, what she was telling me was that even if there were no humans on Earth, she would be going through all these changes because it's part of her cycle. Yeah. Like, the Ice Age had to happen. Were humans at fault for that? If we were here, we would have been blamed for it. But it would have happened anyways if we were here or not, right? So this is the same thing. This is a change that she already had predetermined. And whatever changes that come into play with her superficial, I don't know, like components, I don't know what to call it, like
structures.
Yeah, structures. Whatever comes into play, that might be switched. What do you call it? Or like turned to put in front of us because we want to be there.
That flipped.
Yeah, it's going to be like we're going to be put. The word guilty comes every time I channel this stuff. It's like we're going to be called the guilty ones, and what are we made to think? Oh, humans are so bad. We're awful. Humans are the worst. And we're literally dissing our own collective. And that's what they want. We're putting ourselves in the box of we're bad.
Labeling.
And I can promise you, Lorena, out of everyone that I know, and, I've ever met, I can promise you that 80% of those people, if you gave them a better form of energy, if you gave them a better form of living, if you gave them a piece of, most of them can afford it, but if you gave them a piece of land and said, here, you can grow your own things, here, you can have energy that comes from the universe and not have to destroy Gaia, everyone would be like, yeah, give me, yeah, I'll take it. 80%. Yeah. The other percent, I think they're too busy, like you said, consuming, and like I know people of all types, right? Maybe other parts are too busy consuming, or they just want to travel the world and whatever, and that's their priority right now. But the other 8%, I think they would settle down with that new plan and be like, yeah, awesome.
And I think we need to really, that's okay, sorry, I lose a little sick. I think we really need to look at like who are these people that are talking about this climate stuff or the Gaia stuff? You know, how are they living? How are they acting? We need to really see the big picture. This is opening the perspective and getting it from every angle and seeing like, okay, cool. You're talking about this and how we need to change this and that, but how are you supporting that? Is your lifestyle supporting that? If you're pushing that narrative of that us being bad and that we're living in that's where I see a lot of people being like, wait, what? No, that doesn't make any sense.
They had the global, what's it called? The CO, whatever.
Yeah.
I was saying this also on the episode. 400 private, I looked into it, 400 private jets flew in. And that's not all the airplanes that flew in. That's just the private jets, Lorena, 400. The Biden administration alone for one person had, I don't know how many. So if there's really an issue and if you ask me, if there really is an issue and you really believed it, I think that you would get yourself on an airplane with people around you that are going to the same place and you guys would go together, right? But there's not really a problem. You're just meeting up to create the next control scenario. That's what I see. Again, I'm not saying we can't do better. I'm just saying don't listen to what they say. Look at what they do. Because if there really was a problem,
Actions.
they would do it differently themselves.
Actions, yeah. And if you're talking about it, then you need to be living it. You need to be living those values that way. Like, don't be pushing all this fear on people when you're living the complete opposite.
Look at the mask scenario. How many recordings are there of these politicians and media people who you see them without the mask, and as soon as they're told the camera's rolling, they put them on. They put the mask on. But they were just next to the buddy next to them, and they had people around them, and they were hugging and talking. As soon as they're told the camera's on, they pop them on. Don't listen to what they're saying. Look at what they're doing.
100%. I think that's for everything in this coming year.
Yeah.
In every aspect, not just the climate or the pandemic, everything. Okay, let's move on to our last and final topic, spirituality. So we talked a little bit about it already, but spiritual awakening. We've been talking about that for a couple of years now. And what is the spiritual energy behind like 2022? What do you see, Lou?
It's like I get the word empowerment right away. That's the first thing I get. Like, this is, if something we should have learned, this is how I'm getting it. If there's something we should have learned in the past year, aka all 2021, it's taking your power back. And it all begins with the most powerful tool you have, your connection to your higher self, your spiritual team, and any group that might be accompanying you. Maybe it's a soul group, whatever it is, or whoever you connect with. For me, sometimes when I'm down, my spiritual empowerment is connecting to one of the archangels. So it depends on the person, but if you're connected to your spiritual aspect, and it's almost unbreakable, because it's hard to, if a lot of people are beginning with that connection, so you need to make it that it becomes unbreakable, where your faith in it and that you're being taken care of all the time is so strong that then there's no other option but to start living a scenario of empowerment. You're not going to let yourself be kicked around, told what to do, because I'm a spiritual being, has freedom and has free will. Yep. And you will not tell me how to do this, because I know what's best for me and I know what's best for my community. Because also, we're individually gaining our power, and that source of power that we're gaining, we're going to be sharing with the rest of our community. And everyone's going to have their point of power. And that's going to make us the best community.
I love that. What I'm getting, you said empowerment, I'm getting more warrior energy. Like, this is where we need to start standing up, fighting, talking, doing, being, embodying. It's every ounce of energy inside of you needs to go to just embodying that version of how you're living and what you're doing and how you're speaking, and really trusting yourself fully this year. We've been through a lot of work in the last 2 years, especially throughout the pandemic. So now it's just like the test. Like, how are you going to live this? How are you going to start to show up? And how are you trusting yourself through that? Because I think a lot of people want to push you off course or push fear on you or tell you what to do or label you. And it's like, no, I'm here. I'm connecting to my spirituality. I know why I'm here. I trust that I'm here for a reason. I'm living that purpose and mission. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with whatever's going on around me. It's not that I accept it, but when I say accept it, it's not like I'm okay with it. Like, how do I explain it? Whatever is going on around me is going on around me. Am I okay with it? No. Do I accept it? Yes. And I move on. And I continue to fight or take action or move or change or transform.
You can only change.
No, you have to
yourself.
focus on you. Yeah, and I think we'll all maybe be in, I don't know, certain like soul groups and be able to connect that way. Like I was saying before, it might be virtual. It might be people helping you with advice. It might be people helping each other with certain aspects of living now, with information or with just emotional support, whatever that is for you. But ultimately, we're living our truth now. That's what 2022 is about.
Yeah. You were saying that I was thinking about something and I wanted to add it. Oh, yes. Just because spiritually you're going to do your best to connect really well and empower yourself from a spiritual place so that it leaks out into the rest of your timeline or your today, your now. Not every day is going to be perfect, and that's okay. You don't have to be positive every day. And also because you're affected by a lot of different energies around you, the collective energy, what the collective is going through. Remember, we're downloading stuff from whatever collective we're connecting with. We're connected, even like the stars and the moon, and people do astrology. All that stuff affects us, and so you can't have a perfect day every day. So the other day when I was like really down, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so depressed today. I feel like awful, like man. So I was like, all right, I'm going to meditate. So I just took 10, 15 minutes to meditate and kind of I asked to bring in whatever energy I needed. I asked for assistance. I remember talking to my soul directly and asking her to send me energy that would help me regain my faith and my optimism and, whatever it is you feel you need. Like you can ask for those things as well. You can ask for that extra oomph that you're missing. I mean, I had a whole week where I was like, I had to do that every day for a whole week.
Yeah, and we don't have to have perfect days. We just have to make sure we continue to stay as grounded and present as we can. Even through that, feel through things. Allow those emotions to come up. Like you said, there's going to be a lot of mental health stuff coming up. Not that it hasn't already been happening. It will continue. That's all. It's basically just a continuation. Some of it deeper and more deeper rooted. But I think we need to take care of our mental health for sure. Apart from all that spirituality, I think that goes hand in hand. The spirituality helps all the mental aspects.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
2022 is not only a year of you take action, there's going to be a lot of action in general. So we'll see a lot of movement of things. That could be individuals standing up. That could be all those legal actions we're seeing, and that could be a lot of souls leaving as well. Action is a change, right? It's a movement of a change or something.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying with Pluto. The Pluto energy is still here, still going strong. And that is literally transformation at all cost. It does not matter what it takes for things to change. They will change.
So when is Pluto?
I'm not sure. We're going to have Patricia on.
Yeah, like last year. Is it all 2022, you think, or most of it?
Pretty sure, yeah. Pluto's he's not a very, it's not a very quick planet. So yeah, we'll definitely have to do, and I was thinking about that actually the other day, of doing a 2022 astrological episode with Patricia.
Yeah, it was really nice to do one last year with her.
I'll talk to her and we'll get her on here.
Yeah.
I love her insight. It always helps. Yeah. And that might confirm some of the stuff we're already seeing here. Yeah. And I remember we wanted her to be so like brutally honest, and we're like, so what do you see with the pandemic? We're like, okay, sorry. So yeah. Yeah. So do you want to add anything else before we kind of wrap up this episode? I'm seeing an hour and 11 minutes on my end, which is really interesting.
Mine is almost there. Do I want to add anything? I just want to urge people to, and this is for me too, take action and go towards where it is that you need to go towards. Make the changes that you need to make. And that's going to make life easier for because I don't feel like 2022 is going to be a walk in the park, guys.
Nope.
It's going to be a difficult year in a different way, but it's going to be it's going to be a difficult year.
Each year has been difficult, but in different ways. You guys have to observe that.
This year we're going to be tested a lot on our emotional and mental capacities of how we can sustain ourselves in these scenarios that are coming into play. And I just want, for me, if I could leave a message, because I want to make sure that we all gain our power back. And I think that the more of us that do that, the better it is for the collective. So I'm going to say this before whatever scenario plays out, which seems to be more climate change for now than another pandemic, but we'll see.
I see it 50-50.
Yeah. I see like they're playing their climate change cards already. That's the problem. I already see them there. It's like,
but they might still be playing that while something else.
I'm not saying that they're not going to try the other pandemic thing, but it depends on the frustration level. Remember I said like of the people, if we caught on and so many people caught on to, they're using it as a control card at this point to push something else or just control in general. I feel like no one's going to really follow the next storyline, but we need to get there. We need to get there, and we're not fully there for them not to be able to play the next card, because I feel there are a lot of people still living in fear. And
oh yes,
I mean, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and she was sending me and showing me messages where like Bill Gates started talking about smallpox, and the FDA silently, supposedly already approved a new smallpox vaccine. So, is there something going on behind closed doors already? Yeah, they have a bunch of cards being dealt. They're going to pick one that's more convenient at the time. Hopefully they only pick one, because if they picked both, climate change and, a new pandemic, like, yeah, our emotional and mental state is really going to be tested. But for now, I feel like they're going to try to juice out the current pandemic before introducing a new one.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
So I want to leave people with the message: don't listen to what they're saying. Look at what they're doing. Not when they're recording for the TV channel. When the TV channel, when they think it's off. When the politicians think that nobody's looking. Look at what they're doing.
Yeah. Do their actions pair up with their words?
Yes.
What they're pushing, what they're saying.
Yes.
That's what we need to look at.
Yes.
100%. And just, it's a moment of really centering ourselves, embodying ourselves, who we are, our purpose, our mission. We talked about that in the not looking back and where do we go from here episodes, right?
Yeah.
Same goes here.
But you know what? I'm cutting you off, because the new pandemic scenario I think that you're seeing is what I think what we're confusing ourselves. I think the new pandemic thing that you're seeing is what I see for the top of the hill.
Maybe.
I think we're not realizing that they both match. So I'm seeing that top of the hill because I'm saying we're literally going to get into a really bad part of what we're going through now. And then we go down the hill, and then it seems like climate change, the card is dealt.
Oh no, definitely. No, I don't see that climate thing happening now or that other pandemic happening now. I think it's going to get worse. Whatever we're going through right now, there's going to be a peak of it, of course. And maybe there's going to be lockdowns, there's all that stuff that comes with it. And then there's going to be that downward motion of that transition of whatever that is.
Yeah. So remember the Akashic Records had said that, this is around the time when Christos and Foster were on. Oh, look, my clock says 22. When Christos and Foster were on, around that time, they were getting it, and we were getting it as well. What it was saying, we were saying something like, COVID was like a walk in the park for what was coming, right?
Yes.
That's what I feel like winter is. Well, winter for me, because I'm in the north.
I definitely see it getting harder.
Like, I feel like this winter, it's like, oh, man.
In different aspects, from the physical to the mental to the emotional.
So the first lockdown we had, I feel like, it was not so bad compared to, like, how annoying and bad this winter is going to feel for me, at least here in the north. I don't know. I don't feel like the south is as it doesn't feel as drastic for me, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So yeah, we'll close off this episode because it's gotten super long. So like I mentioned at the beginning, if you guys are interested in deeper channeling about 2022, make sure you come join us on Patreon. We'll have that link on the show notes. And yeah, we're still offering the podcast help. We're still kind of assisting with that and helping others create their podcast or organize their podcast or just get themselves set up. So if you guys are interested in any assistance with that, feel free to reach out to us. We'll have that information on the show notes. And yeah, we're in for an interesting end of the year and beginning of 2022. And we're going to be taking a few weeks off in December. We've mentioned that before. I'm just reminding you guys, just so you guys know. And yeah, we're going to see you guys next week for a new episode and send you guys lots of love. And we hope this episode wasn't too much. But there's deeper stuff to channel for sure. For sure. This is just the beginning. So yeah. All right. Bye guys.
Bye guys. Thank you.